Hi, I'm Callum Rodia for Sudbury.com, and today we are on Elm Street in downtown Sudbury for the grand opening of the McEwen School of Architecture. In just a moment, we will take you live inside the building for the official grand opening ceremony. Following that, we'll take you on a walking tour with founding director Terrence Galvin, which we filmed earlier this week. Stay with us.
I'm thrilled to welcome everyone to this very important gathering, a milestone 10 years in the making. And as to launch us today, I would like to also recognize the presence of some members of our Board of Governors, our Chair Jennifer Whitty, our past Chair Michael Atkins, Guy Nadine, Kathy Modesto, Dr. Glenn Pablo, and Sir Ian Wood. We also have with us today the Honorable Glenn Matthews, Minister of Advanced Education and Skills Development, the Honorable Glenn Tebow, Minister of Energy and Sudbury MP. We have our MP for Sudbury, Paul Lefebvre, our MP for Nickelbelt, Marc Sélé, France Gina, MPP for Nickelbelt, His Worship the Mayor, Brian Bigger, City Councilors Jocelyn Riley Altman, Dan McIntosh, Lynn Reynolds, and Al Sizer, Rob and Cheryl McEwen, of course, and Blaine Nichols. To begin the proceedings this afternoon, we'll have a welcoming invocation from one of our elders, followed by a blessing performed by the Wachki Makwa singers. I would ask those who can to stand for the invocation and for the song. Je vous prie de souhaiter la bienvenue à notre aînée autochtone, Madame Juliette Denis. Please welcome our Indigenous elder, Juliette Denis, who will ask the blessing.
Thank you. Before we begin, I'd just like to ask people to try as much as possible to block off all these numerous stimuli that surround us, and just bring to mind gratitude, something that you, obviously we are so, we have reason to be thankful for today, and just let that flow into the universe with the words that I have prepared on your behalf. Dear Creator, Great Spirit, God, Dieu, très chère Providence, on this very special and glorious day of celebration of the official grand opening of Laurentian University's McEwen School of Architecture, I expressed our most sincere gratitude on behalf of all of us here present, as well as all those who would have liked to join us but were unable to do so. We are truly blessed and grateful to receive such a precious gift, which, in addition to being an amazing, brand new, strategically located building, also comprises a unique and innovative program where students can learn the essentials of design and architecture. A program which nurtures a holistic, hands-on approach with special emphasis on the importance of people, communities, the environment, the relationship between a building and its landscape, particularly the Northern Ontario landscape, and the responsible use of our precious resources, among other things. Merci pour tous les services à la disposition des étudiantes et étudiants à l'École d'architecture McEwen qui ont pour but de favoriser leur épanouissement et leur réussite. Par exemple, le modèle d'enseignement coopératif, par l'entremise duquel nos étudiantes et étudiants peuvent faire des stages d'apprentissage au sein de l'industrie et des secteurs afférents. Chimigwich for all our partners who welcome our students into their business to allow them to gain valuable hands-on experience during their program. Un gros merci tout parce que l'université puis l'école d'architecture McEwen, ils s'occupent des trois cultures au lieu d'un qu'une. Ils s'occupent de la culture anglaise, de la culture française, puis de la culture des Premières Nations, des Métis, puis des Inuits. Puis pour toutes les aînés qui viennent aider aux étudiants et aux étudiantes, puis qui leur montrent un peu des choses qui ont pris eux autres mêmes. And finally, special thanks for granting each and every one of us your protection for our safe travels after this celebration. Merci, miigwech, merci, thank you.
going to do a welcome song for you. It was taught to us by Maggie Paul, who's a Passamaquoddy, and given Anishinaabe words by the late Sarah Ganawabi, a founding member of our group.
Please be seated. Chimigwech to the Makwa singers for that wonderful song. So we're here today to mark the latest milestone in an exciting story of the McEwen School of Architecture at Laurentian University. Un projet de cette envergure qui a passé du concept à la réalité en 10 ans est réellement remarquable. It was an ambitious idea, but working together in the last 10 years, we have made history. And I would ask you now to welcome Laurentian University's President and Vice Chancellor Dominique Giroux to speak to us.
Ani Bojo Kwekwe, Mami Kwendam Jiwikmiek. Well, Greater Sudbury, you did it. It's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Chancellor Steve Bacon, the Chair of the Board of Governors, Jennifer Whitty, members of the Board of Governors, and of the University Senate. Merci à tous et à toutes d'être ici cet après-midi en si grand nombre et d'avoir répondu à l'invitation. Il s'agit véritablement d'une autre étape clé de l'évolution tant de l'Université Laurentienne que de la ville du Grand Sudbury. This is a day that many people have been working towards for many years. It has been exciting to watch this remarkable project take shape from concept to reality. The McEwen School of Architecture is an uplifting example of transformative change achieved through community alignment, but also a shared vision. This idea was born in the community by people who recognize the economic benefits and the potential to leverage regional expertise to create a unique educational opportunity for students right here in Northern Ontario. People like Dr. David Robinson, Blaine Nichols, former Mayor John Rodriguez, Rick Holdenby, who's here today, and Dr. Anne Bargelot from the University of Waterloo School of Architecture, who visited Sudbury in February 2007 to propose ideas for an innovative curriculum. Deans and directors from all Canadian schools of architecture who unanimously supported the project, something which, Minister, doesn't happen often in Aquimedia, may I add. Staff and directors of the Greater Sudbury Development Corporation, members of both the 2006-2010 and 2010-2014 City Councils, and staff from the City of Greater Sudbury. Staff and directors of the Greater Sudbury Chamber of Commerce who made this project their number one priority. Members of the Community Steering Committee, the first project manager, Kate Bowman, former Sudbury MPP Greg Bartolucci, who championed the project at every step of the way at Queen's Park. And I know that Rick is watching live with pride from Florida, thanks to Sudbury.com. And that was not a free plug because of the past chair, Mr. Adams. Je suis vraiment reconnaissant envers les membres du Conseil des gouverneurs de l'Université Laurentienne, tant les anciens membres que les membres actuels, qui ont appuyé ce projet important à toutes les étapes, en particulier nos anciennes présidences du Conseil, notamment celles qui sont ici aujourd'hui, notamment Maureen Lacroix, Caroline Sinclair, Floyd Loughran et Michael Atkins. Tant de personnes ont donné de leur temps, de leur énergie et de leur argent aussi. Nombreux sont nos élus et nos partenaires à avoir appuyé et défendu aussi le financement de ce projet. The school was made possible through forward-thinking investments by the Ontario Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development under former Minister John Malloy, the City of Greater Sudbury, Rob and Cheryl McEwen, the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, FedNor under former Minister Tony Clement and Director General Emmy DiMatteo is here today, the Center for Research and Innovation, the Bioeconomy, the Laurentian University Alumni Association, Blaine and Liz Nichols, the F. Jean McLeod Trust, Susan and Perry DeLeese, who are here today, Gord Slade, and many other private donors whose names appear on the McEwen School of Architecture donor wall displayed right here in what is now known as the Susan and Perry DeLeese Atrium. The donor wall was designed and created by our own staff and faculty right here at the McEwen School. Mark Beckler created the design, Francis Thorpe and Emilio Portal worked on fabrication, and the laser etching was done by Patrick Herrick. Et pendant toutes les étapes du projet, nous avons eu la chance de profiter du soutien et du talent des meilleures personnes qui soient afin que l'école devienne une réalité. And we knew we had to assemble the right team to make it happen, and there are several key contributors to be acknowledged today. Jana Levitt, David Warren, Alex Tedesco, Jose Castelbranco, and the rest of the team at LGA Architectural Partners brought their exceptional vision to this project and have created a truly exceptional design for the McEwen School of Architecture. I'd like to convey my sincere appreciation to members of the Project Steering Committee chaired by Vice President Administration Carol McCauley, as well as colleagues from Facility Services led by Executive Director Brad Parks, Director of Capital Projects Mitch Seguin, Sheila Mendez, and Darquise Guimont. J'aimerais aussi reconnaître le leadership académique fourni par les anciens doyens de l'école, soit Anne-Marie Marouini et Roger Couture, de même que le doyen de la Faculté de Sciences, Génie et Architecture, Osman Abourabia. Le travail de notre ancien vice-recteur à l'administration, Robert Bourgeois, de même que de notre ancien vice-recteur aux études, Robert Kerr, doit être souligné. And many other departments of the university should be commended for their exceptional work, their perseverance, including information technology, marketing, communications, advancement, to name a few. You should all be extremely proud of this transformative accomplishment. And last, but certainly not least, the founding director of the McEwen School of Architecture, Dr. Terence Galvin. Terry joined the team in January 2012. He hit the ground running and never looked back. He has brought leadership, he's brought vision, and a philosophy to the school that is unique, that is purposeful, and quite simply awesome. Grâce à ces efforts, l'impact de notre école d'architecture se fait déjà ressentir sur l'ensemble de notre communauté ainsi qu'à l'étranger. And in only 3 years, our students and faculty have distinguished themselves. We couldn't be more proud of the numerous accomplishments of our students, faculty, and staff. We have seen remarkable milestones through our collective efforts, and I can assure you that the best is yet to come from the brilliant minds of our students, faculty, staff, and the many community partners who are here today at the McEwen School of Architecture. And to all of you here today, thank you. And I can't wait to the graduation of our charter class next June. Thank you, merci, Chimigwech. Merci beaucoup. Il me fait maintenant plaisir d'inviter la vice-première ministre et ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur, l'honorable Deb Matthews, à venir prononcer quelques mots. Please welcome the Minister of Advanced Education and Skills Development, the Honorable Deb Matthews.
Well, thank you so much, President Giroux. I am so delighted to be here. I've heard so much about this place, and having the opportunity to see it with my own eyes and to share this occasion with the people who made it happen is a wonderful, wonderful experience. So thank you for including me today. This is a school of firsts. The first new school of architecture to open in 45 years. The first ever to open in Northern Ontario. And it's the first of its kind in the country to offer courses in French outside of Quebec. You have achieved remarkable success in your first 3.5 years. You've won awards internationally. You have really demonstrated that this is the place to be. I am delighted to tell you today that you're going to get even better. Because yesterday, I signed off on the Master's Program of Architecture. That is very good news for the students, because it means you might choose to continue your studies here. It is great for the community, because having the master's level really does enrich the program significantly. But most importantly, it's great news for all of us, for our society, because the work you do here is really important work. And having had the chance to see some of the work and talk to some of the students, I know that you approach architecture and the study of architecture differently than anybody else does. And you are integrating the cultural strengths of Indigenous peoples in the work you do, bringing together a very rich body of tradition. So I am over the moon at the way you are approaching architecture here. Thank you. We've heard a little bit about how the idea got started, and so many people contributed to making this a reality. It does take money to build something like this, and I'm very happy that the Governor of Ontario was able to put in over $20 million towards the construction here. But I want to really say thank you to the McEwens. Rob and Cheryl have let's say, many opportunities to make a contribution. And they chose Laurentian, they chose the School of Architecture. In talking to them, it's because they love Sudbury and they love architecture. And I just want to say thank you, because government can't do this alone. We need private sector partners, philanthropists, prepared to actually put their signature to a check. You have chosen a terrific place to invest, and I just want to say thank you for that. So, to the students, I want to say you're already blowing us away with your success. You've won international competitions. You are off and running. I wish you all the best in your continued success. To the first graduating class, you are the pioneers, and people will remember this for as long as they live. So congratulations to all of you. I'm just delighted to be here with you. Thank you.
Well, this is a very good news day. Obviously, Minister will start issuing offers of admission tomorrow for the master's program. Thank you so much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our MPP, Gwen Thibault, Minister of Energy and Sudbury MPP, as well as representative of the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, to say a few words. Ian, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you. I got two people saying that. Good afternoon, everyone. Much better with a large crowd like that. It's great to hear so many people being here and here to celebrate what is a fantastic announcement for our community. And yes, not only am I the MPP for Sudbury and the Minister of Energy, so I have this sense that I can feel energy in a room and I can feel a lot of the energy in this room. But I also do have to say, and hopefully I'm not embarrassing my nephew too much, but I'm a very proud uncle of Keegan McEwen, who will be one of the first students to graduate from this class. So, yeah. And I'm also very excited about hearing about the master's program, because that means that Keegan doesn't have to go far away from home, and I don't have to hear about that from my sister, and I don't have to worry about visits from her in Toronto. So it's all a win-win-win for me. But I do want to recognize all of my colleagues that are here, Deb Matthews and you know, Paul and Mark and the mayor and France, and there's so many people here today, because this truly is a celebration of what we can do as a community when we come together. Wayne, I asked you earlier, I said, when was the first time that I think I saw you in front of council? When I was at the United Way talking about other issues, asking people to give, you were there to talk about this project at that point. And this must be fantastic for you and for everybody that was part of the organizing committee room and see where we're at. It's, you know, dreams do come true. And you know what, thank you for having that dream to create this here in Sudbury, because it is something for us to celebrate. It truly is dynamic. Needless to say, in all of this, as Deb said, you know, there were many people who were involved, many funders who were involved, and I know we're going to hear from some of them, but as a representative of the NOHFC, it is something that, you know, the NOHFC was on board from the beginning. So they started with a $740,000 grant in feasibility studies to ensure that this dream was going to become a reality and that there's ways to do it. And then, of course, the NOHFC contributed $5 million towards the building and the capital of this building. So as Deb mentioned, Minister Matthews mentioned, there are so many benefits with this new school, from attracting talented students to our city to help revitalizing the downtown core. So how many people here are born and raised in Sudbury? Raise your hand. How many people went to the Odeon across the street? Right? Have we not changed the face of our downtown core with this building for the better? We have. It is something I'm so excited about. It is something we can be so proud about. I always said the downtown core is the heart of our community. And now the School of Architecture is the one that keeps it beating. We're going to have so many students. And I know Ron and John Arnold are here, and hopefully I'm not announcing it or talking about anything that I'm not supposed to, but they were telling me that they're getting more calls from businesses and people who want to locate downtown. And that's great, because we want to keep this as our heart. And so Dominic and everyone at Laurentian, thank you. Thank you for making sure that we've got this great facility here and that we've got great teachers and great professors. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to continue to see Sudbury grow and prosper, and it's thanks to leadership like yours and everyone that's on the board. So with that, to all of our councillors that are here, I'm looking forward to the next big thing that we have in our downtown core. Congratulations, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Maintenant, je vous prie de souhaiter la bienvenue à notre député fédéral pour Sudbury, M. Paul Lefebvre. Please welcome Paul Lefebvre, MP for Sudbury, Representative Fedlon.
Bon après-midi tout le monde. C'est un grand honneur d'être ici avec vous. It's such an honor to be here with you. I'm joined here by my colleague Marc Serré, député de Nicobel. Regardez la foule. Look at this crowd, the energy as Glenn was mentioning. I think there's people out on the upstairs floor, at the rafters. Félicitations. Félicitations Dominique. C'est une journée incroyable pour Sudbury. I'd like to start off by saying how proud I am. How proud I am to be a member of this community, to be a partner with so many of the people here in this room today, and to be Sudburian. Because today we celebrate another milestone. Félicitations Notre Laurentienne pour l'ouverture officielle aujourd'hui de son école d'architecture McEwen. Dominique, sans ton ambition, ton énergie, ta vision, on ne serait pas ici aujourd'hui. And Terry, ta passion, également ta vision, ta créativité. Mark and I had the joy of walking through the halls on Monday. We were in awe and again so proud. So anybody here that has the chance to walk around and visit this great spot, you should. 3 years ago, well, first let me start by saying I'm from Kapuskasing. I was born and raised in Kapuskasing, so in the winters we would do hockey and ice fishing. So 3 years ago, I saw this ad. Folks were saying, ice fishing huts for sale made by students of Laurentian's School of Architecture at Science North. I said, oh my God, I can't believe this. I used to, we do ice fishing. At March break, we're going ice fishing with the kids. So when I saw that, I was so excited to see that the vision of using the school and bring it locally, bring it to Northern Ontario, and having the students to be able to experience that. I was equally proud at that time again to see that. And I actually my daughter actually picked out one of the ice huts. C'était Le Petit Poisson. So it was made by the group of the French students from the faculty, from the students. So I was very proud to support that day. It was amazing to see all the creations. But that little support that I gave that day is nothing like the McEwen family has provided. Rob and Cheryl, you have showed such tremendous support for education, for students, for Sudbury, but contributing to the school alongside our governments. Thank you so much for your contribution. Un grand merci également à notre gouvernement provincial, Minister and Sudbury MPP Glenn Thibault and I work together to ensure our community projects advance and like this school to become reality. And thanks to our great city as well. The city of Greater Sudbury is an important partner of the federal government. We've been working closely with our city partners to make the right investments in Sudbury, to make our city a better place to live and to learn. You know, my office is just a short walk from here, right beside the YMCA. It's with pride that we all can see how the downtown is moving forward. And it's wonderful to see this great new building have a tremendous effect on this downtown. It's an important story. It's another story of Sudbury that we should all be proud of. Students innovate here. They will contribute to a better future for Sudbury, for Northern Ontario, for Canada, and for the world. The McEwen School of Architecture is developing the next generation of architects. C'est un lieu unique pour le Nord de l'Ontario. As MPs for Greater Sudbury, as your voice in Ottawa, Mark and I take this opportunity to tell our colleagues in the House of Commons on a regular basis that we are the mining capital of the world and that we are one of the most innovative cities in Canada because of our post-secondary institutions. And listen, we all agree that Laurentian University is thriving. En terminant, je voudrais féliciter tous les étudiants qui n'ont pas froid aux yeux de laisser leur place à l'imagination et à la créativité. Je félicite les étudiants qui rêvent d'édifices différents, originaux, et qui désirent changer le monde un trait de crayon à la fois. Remember students, you can change the world one sketch at a time. Bravo et longue vie à l'école d'architecture McEwen. Thank you, chez Miigwech.
Merci beaucoup, Fred. Thank you. So it's now my pleasure to ask the Mayor of Greater Sudbury, His Worship Brian Bigger, to come up and say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oni Wache. Bonjour, mes amis. I want to begin by thanking President Giroux and Dr. Terence Galvin for the invitation to be speaking here this afternoon. And I'd also like to thank Elder Juliet Dennis, Elder Marcel Labelle, and the Wabshka Makwa singers for being a part of this grand opening ceremony. I think it's very, very fitting that they participated and been an important part of the ceremony. I'd also like to thank our Minister Matthews, Rob and Cheryl McEwen for coming to our city to take part in this long-awaited and exciting day. I'd also like to acknowledge Mark Sarret, Paul Lefebvre, Glenn Siegel, and our members of council that are here today as well. Being able to stand here with so many incredible community leaders, faculty, staff, students, and members of the public who've supported this project all the way is a true honor. But I must also thank the voices of previous mayors and council members who backed this project from its early beginnings over 10 years ago to make today a reality. The potential they saw in our downtown core is the same vision that council and I are working towards right now. We understand that we need to create and foster an urban core that will draw all of us to come together, to share knowledge, information, expertise, and enjoyment. The $10 million investment that the city made in this project, in addition to the strong investments made by our partners from the provincial and federal governments, the generous donations of Rob and Cheryl McEwen and other donors, have certainly proven their worth beyond our imagination. It really is imperative that Sudburyans recognize that we need to continue to invest in our future, in our community, and I can assure you we are staying true to that path. The school will continue to enhance our community's reputation as a major center for post-secondary education and bring much-needed density to our city core with 400 plus students, renewing the vitality in the area. And I truly view the McEwen School of Architecture as a symbolic way because of it's a guiding example towards shaping the future of our community and what we should strive for. Our community owes the driving forces at Laurentian University a great deal of gratitude for leading our community forward. Thank you. And making our city a great place to live, study, work, and play. We must continue to feed off this energy that we find here today in this room at the McEwen School of Architecture because un centre-ville fort signifie plus que juste des affaires commerciales. Cela signifie l'innovation, les arts, la culture est bien plus encore. Cela attire les gens pour le travail et aussi donne l'occasion à ces gens de découvrir une grande partie de ce que nous avons à offrir à proximité qui offre un sentiment de communauté fort. I'm confident that the new creative generation of students coming through these doors will make meaningful and lasting impacts in the way that we live and the buildings that we create right here in our home and beyond. And so with that being said, I look forward to future collaborations with Laurentian University and the McEwen School of Architecture, but for today, let's just celebrate this great achievement in our community. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Chief McEwen.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Maire. And now, it's a real pleasure to introduce somebody who has been leading the team that helps students turn ideas into places where we work, play, and live. I'll just allow myself a little anecdote. When Terrence Galvin first came to Laurentian, I was at the University of Sudbury and I met him, and I thought, gosh, I want to work with that guy. And now I'm very, very pleased to be have that opportunity. So it's my great pleasure to introduce the founding director of the McEwen School of Architecture, Dr. Terrence Galvin.
Welcome everyone. Ani, bonjour, kwekwe, good afternoon. As has been said several times now, today is a great day for all of us here. Many people may remember when we stood outside in November 2012 and we had a fire ceremony with Chief Stephen Miller and a tick machine welcoming us onto the land. After more than a decade, we are here today to celebrate the vision, the development, and the realization of the project of the McEwen School of Architecture. For many people in the room, and I mean many, today may mark an end to a long journey of design thinking, public consultation, and grant applications, and grant reading on the other side. For others, today marks just the beginning of future potential for this magnificent complex in the core of downtown Sudbury. I have previously mentioned that one of the symbols that has guided the project for me is the image of Janus, the Roman god who represents beginnings, the god whose double face from where we derive this month, the month of January, so the vestige continues of beginnings of the year. Janus was the god able to look backward as well as forward in time. I've always envied Janus for that. Similarly, this project called the School of Architecture looks to the university and the LU campus, while at the same time looks the other way to the downtown community, the Sudbury community, and the wider Northern Ontario communities. In the short time since the school welcomed its inaugural class in the fall of 2013, we have already partnered with community groups including Rotary Park here in Sudbury, Science North, Wattapatay First Nation for building our first Birch Park Canoe together, Mill Square in Sault Ste. Marie, Pawasson's Community Library, Keeley Park in Sudbury, and at the moment Maison Boreal housing in Chapleau. Now that the School of Architecture is being perceived by the wider community as providing a bridge between community issues that need to be examined and professional architectural service, we have a number of community requests that are in the pipeline for future discussion and projects and studio work and faculty research and a long arc thinking about collaboration. This is very exciting as it confirms the initial vision of the school as a think tank for design for the North. Initially industrial design and later architectural design as the project took shape. In that respect, our real mission is just beginning to ramp up today. True to the idea of North, our projects have celebrated and embraced the cultures of the North. We've built designer ice fishing huts and sculptural warming huts for Lake Ramsey skating path. We've been taught by a Métis craftsman what Birch Park canoes can teach us, and contrasted this with exploring carbon canoes by another intense boat builder. You know what I mean. Students especially. And Chris. We've carved wooden paddles in second year that are on display at the fireplace, and we've carved we've carved wooden paddles in second year, and we've crafted finished saunas in third year with the support of Nordic Energy. Each of these projects is more than an aesthetic object. They are tried and true symbols of the way buildings and vessels nurture human culture, allowing us to settle the country by canoe and even birth with the midwives in the sauna. Since 2013, we have received 7 design or partnership awards for our collaborative work between faculty, staff, and students. One of the school highlights was winning first prize in the Bergen International Wood Festival in Norway last summer with students under the guidance of Dr. Tammy Gaber and Professor Randall Colbert. Among those 7 awards are 2 other prizes that I think signify the collaborative nature of the school. The Center for Canadian Architecture had a charrette called Reassembling the North last November, and after the dust had settled, one of our school teams here, student-run competition, inter-university, they invited 10 universities, first time they invited universities outside of Quebec, and we won the People's Choice Award. So I'm always proud when we win that. And closer to home, but equally important, for the Sudbury Food Bank, we participated in construction twice in a row, and the first year we barely got it finished, and the second year we said we're going to come back, and Mel's there raising her hand. We won 3 prizes, including the Best Project and the People's Choice Award there. So now we're a very, very great team. And I know that word gets used a lot, but we really are a team of 14 full-time faculty, 1 full-time librarian, 5 sessional instructors, and 7 staff, and 1 adjunct professor, who work well, extremely well, and go way beyond their job descriptions in order to support over 250 undergraduate architecture students. I want to publicly thank our community of talented students who have taken a risk to dive into our new program, forging the program with us as it develops. The work throughout the school attests to the passion and creativity of the entire student body. And heartfelt, we wouldn't be here without you. L'école et les étudiants, c'est vraiment le cœur de l'école, comme cette chambre est le cœur du bâtiment, mais les étudiants sont toujours, avec son passion et créativité, la raison que nous restons ici. One of the exciting milestones this year will be the graduating class of 2017, who are in the audience today and whose work is on the walls in this room around us. Our inaugural class will graduate with a Bachelor of Architectural Studies during LU Convocation this June, once again manifesting the dream of a new School of Architecture in the North. And as Dominic said, I think many of us can't wait to be on the stage that day. In addition, so, Minister Matthews, I wrote this earlier. In addition, our graduate program is slated to begin. That's good. Slated, and I thought, should I just even say that, or will it be closed by October? No. Slated to begin in September of this year, where we will add an additional 60, and then another 60, so 120 graduate students, starting this fall, now I can say, and more students in 2018. For my own part, my role as founding director since January 2012 has been equally challenging and endlessly rewarding. Upon arrival, I was entrusted with taking the original conceptual framework, which was so strong, for this unique vision for a School of Architecture, and translating it into the reality that we are all standing in today. What an experience to get to fine-tune a curriculum that was being designed in parallel to this wonderful architectural complex. It is unique in my life to be able to develop the building discussion and the curriculum at the same time. What other colleague in Canada has had the rare opportunity to interview and attract such a diverse faculty comprised of First Nation, Métis, and Francophone members, alongside a group of practicing architects and educators ranging from Egypt to Germany to Brazil and back to Canada. I'm extremely proud that every faculty member is passionate and knowledgeable about some aspect of architecture, and that we complement the overall mosaic of the school. The McEwen School has truly assembled such a syncretic group of scholars and designers who continue to learn from each other, as well as learn how to teach together in this bilingual and tricultural university setting. And I have to say, it's not easy, but it's really worth doing, and it's extremely fun. And when it works, it's very rewarding. And when it doesn't work, we learn for the next day how to do things better. So today is a day of glory for so many in the room. For Professor David Robinson and Michael Atkins, who drove to Chapleau, ironically we're working there with Fourth Year Studio, but that discussion, the original discussion, we don't know who's the original discussion, but I'm going to say that's the original discussion on the way to Chapleau. For Professor Rick Aldenby from Waterloo, who presented and convinced Greater Sudbury City Council to invest in downtown revitalization. For the various individuals who sat on committees and steered the project along at critical moments, including Blaine Nichols and Carol McCauley. Today is triumphant on the architect's side for LGA, Jana Levitt, and David Warren, who came up with the design strategy for the 4 buildings, each different. It's a great day for sustainability consultant Professor Ted Kessick, who argued the importance of installing a wood-burning stove fireplace, first a stove, then a fireplace in a northern climate building, and that's running behind us, so thank you, Ted. For architect Ted Wilson at AECOM, who designed the innovative mechanical systems, and finally, for landscape architect Professor Rob Wright from U of T, who managed to realize a beautiful green park for the overall site, including the green roof over the CLT wooden wing of this building. While naming only a few, all of us who had a role in this decade-long narrative need to stand proud, as has every person at the podium that said that today. We collectively had a very ambitious dream. We said that we would realize that dream with the help of many supporters and in the face of more than a few naysayers. And now, here we stand. On est ici, dans la vision et la réalité. Thank you to all of the local businesses and individuals who have contributed generously to our student awards and scholarships, as well as to those suppliers who have supported our, really since day one, supported the design build projects like the ice fishing huts, and the warming huts, and the saunas. Thanks as well to our network of co-op program employers who have enabled our students to have various unique and practical work experiences, which makes another kind of architect when they graduate. Finally, please look around as we're doing and see what good architecture can inspire, both in the building and in the student work exhibited throughout the building, including the workshops. And think about the trajectory of the McEwen School, as I do, in the next 5, 10, 50 years, with so many creative minds and hearts beating in one place, Sudbury. Miigwech, merci, bravo tout le monde. Just verifying our program. So many of you are looking at the canoe off to the left, your left, and wondering, we're gifting that canoe to the McEwens, and Métis Elder and Craftsman Marcel Lebel, I might ask him to come up, and there you will explain a bit about the process, and we're having a small ceremony around the canoe, and we have 4 students from second year who will also come up and stand with Marcel.
you get all that? I just introduced myself in a traditional manner. I said, hello, today's a good day. My name is Marcel. I am from Mattawa, and my spirit name is McEwen, which means wolf. Over 400 years ago, when my European ancestors came here and met with my Anishinaabe ancestors, the canoe is the gift that my Anishinaabe ancestors donated or shared with my European ancestors. Mine were from France, you see. This is the vessel that they use to make Canada what it is today. This is the means of transportation we had back then. And what a lot of history books don't tell us is that for a long time, things went well. Obviously, because I'm here, right? Things went very well. And then around Confederation time, we don't need to explain what happened. We know today what happened. So I'm very thankful and I feel honored to have been asked, invited by Terrence, to come and share what my teachers have shared with me is who we are. If you look at this vessel, all of it is our body, it is who we are. That's what the canoe has in common with everyone on this earth. And it starts with the skin, then the muscles, then the ribs, the bone structures. The roots represent our tendons, so it is really who we are. And I'm thankful to have worked with not just these students, but so many, I call them brains. They're our future. And that makes me very optimistic about the future, because when I was a little guy, we wouldn't even say who our ancestors were. We would have to hide that. And I know with these people that I work with everywhere, in the future, when my grandchildren go to school, they won't be ashamed of saying who they are. So again, I'd like to really thank the opportunity to have worked with you. It's been a pleasure. Chinigwech.
Each of the four students that represent the larger group that work with Marcel in building the canoe are going to say a few words about their experience. And after that, we're going to invite Rob and Cheryl McEwen to come up and receive the canoe. This class knew in advance since the summer they were building this particular canoe to give today to Rob and Cheryl. So I'll ask Sarah to begin.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and on behalf of the students, we'd like to thank Marcel for teaching us the lessons of the canoe. In the beginning, when we brought in the materials from his truck, we all sat around and Marcel brought in this pole, which is essentially a piece of birch like this, and it's wrapped in around itself. And so everyone was making moose calls and laughing, and it sounded like more moose were dying than not. So then Siobhan, one of the other students, she let out this great loon call, and everyone just stopped. And then the next day, we anonymously decided that would be the spirit of the canoe. And the loon is the chief clan in the Ojibwe clan system. It's responsible for the waters, so the internal affairs. And we had a lot of issues when we were making the canoe, and a lot of these internal affairs had to be fixed. Blood, sweat, and tears went into making this canoe. There was a lot of passion. But through the end, we all got a lot closer through the teachings of the canoe. By the end, Marcel had the bear fat, which is used for the sealant along the canoe. And he jokingly asked if one of us wanted to try it. And according to Joseph, it tastes like chopstick. But you'll see the decoration, the ornamentation around the sides, and the torts here. And they tell the story of the loon and how the process of the canoe came to be. We'd like to thank Marcel for his lessons.
Hi, I'm McEwen, and
I learned so much more than just in steps of building. I learned the experience and the ways the material works with you. And during the build, I remember Marcel saying, you have to listen to the material. I really took that upon and applied it to my everyday life. When I was working with the intermediate floor with my companion Evan LaValle, we just started carving out the wood. And at the end, we eventually found out that it looked like a floating loom. So, I don't know how that happened, but at the end, I would like to thank Marcel for teaching that, and I'm not going to forget that for my lifetime.
Hello, my name is Rhea. During the assembly of this canoe, I had a very personal connection as it took me back to my roots. I'm from a small village in India. As a child, we used to play with the materials that Mother Earth provided to us, and make little huts out of dried sticks and also toys out of clay. Once they were broken, they would go back to Mother Earth. The stitching of the canoe is done by hand-split spruce roots, and respecting Marcel's teachings, no power tools were used during the building process of this canoe. All of the materials used on this sparge bark canoe are from Mother Earth, and once their purpose is served, they will all go back to Mother Earth.
Hi everyone, my name is Pascal. Near the beginning of this adventure, Marcel mentioned that we already possessed the guide to creating this canoe. He taught us that the blueprint for this craft was not necessarily on a piece of paper, but rather in each and every one of us. Each part of this canoe can be represented as a body part. Please allow me to share this teaching with you. To begin, like Marcel mentioned earlier, the birch bark on the outside represents our stake. Following that, the 5 turns of spruce roots are a representation of our 5 fingers. The sheathing on the inside is then a representation of our muscles. And finally, the ribs are a representation of our skeleton. Also, the sap mixture over here, in appearance, is a representation of the blood that flows through our veins. However, to our surprise, this canoe is assembled much different than many other structures. Typically, the skeleton is assembled first and then layered on in later processes. In this case, the process is reversed and the canoe is built from the outside in. On behalf of the second year class, as well as the remainder of the school, I would like to offer this birch bark canoe to the McEwen family as a token of appreciation for all of your support. Thank you.
So at this point, if we may invite Marcel, please come back up, and Cheryl and Rob to receive the canoe. And I know the next item is for Rob and Cheryl to say a few words after that.
That's remarkable. Incredible. Bonjour Sudbury. Comment ça va? Cette école, c'est fantastique. Cheryl et moi, nous sommes très heureux d'être ici. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very exciting day. The opening of the school represents a door to the future, a door to a better future. It's where we will create, where I believe imagination, creativity, and inspiration will flourish, that we will see more created with less, and that there'll be a focus on green, sustainable structures that not only preserve and protect, but enhance our environment and our cultures. So it's a wonderful day for Cheryl and I. It's a wonderful day for the school. It's a wonderful day for Sudbury, for Ontario, for Canada, and I believe it's going to be a wonderful day for the world. Thank you, everyone who made this happen. We're so happy to be part of it, and congratulations.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I want to go back to school. Walking around here, the energy is palpable. Of course, it's an exciting day, the celebration. But when you walk through the spaces, the light, the air, it's just a beautiful flow. There's a good vibe, a good, just a feeling of beauty. And I think people thrive in beautiful spaces. So with that, I believe there's going to be a lot of inspired minds here, and this is the gem. This is the gem of Sudbury. I think that you've got young people thinking about the future, how to enhance our living spaces and our lives. And it's a great resource. It's great talent. And I think the curriculum that I've been learning about is amazing. The canoe, what a great symbol for the spirituality of architecture. To me, this is the beginning of a new chapter in architecture, and I'm very, very excited about what the future holds. And I'm very proud of what everyone has done here. Thank you so much. Chi Miigwech.
Great. We're down our last two items. There are a couple of announcements following this. First of all, we want everyone to help themselves to refreshments available in the Susan and Perry DeLise atrium, in the atrium space behind us. Number two, tonight, this afternoon at 4:30, in the lecture hall in the CLT building, we have author and columnist Roy McGregor, who's giving a talk. Roy is a BA grad from LU in 1970 and received an honorary doctorate here at Laurentian in 2005. He's the author of a very good book called Canoe Country, The Making of Canada. So to follow the theme of the school and symbol, Roy's giving that talk at the lecture hall at 4:30. And the festivities aren't over. This is the beginning. So we're taking a break from kind of 5 to 7, and then you've noticed in the school, or you will, sculptures. So we have a Nuit Blanche, a big art festival starting tonight at 7 p.m. We'll kick that off right behind us in the atrium next to the fireplace with drumming circle, fantastic drums. I'm very happy about that. It's the drummers that were with us at the fire ceremony and in 2013, and when we broke the ground for phase 2, and now tonight. And then hour by hour, there's a agenda that you'll get if you come back for that. We're hoping people do. It's a beautiful weather, so that's in our favor. Climate change bad. Good for us today. I'm looking at David Pearson. Thanks, David, for arranging today. I knew you were powerful, but I had no idea. And then tonight, everyone's going to wander around. There's food at 7 o'clock, food at 10 o'clock, silent movies with live music from Robert Hall in the lecture hall at 11, and it's going to go on until the wee hours, judging the 11 installations that are around the school by the students as part of the Nuit Blanche will take place somewhere after midnight. So please, it's a repeat of a community party that we did in 2013, so please come back for 7 o'clock anytime through there till 3 a.m. And lastly, I know Dr. Pierre Zundel will come back to the microphone, so thank you.
Alors encore une fois, un gros merci à tous et à toutes qui ont contribué à ce merveilleux projet qu'est l'école d'architecture McEwen. So thanks you to all of those who have contributed to this amazing project that we're celebrating today. So just a couple of logistical things before we break up and continue the celebration. First of all, there'll be media availability after the photo, and which brings me to the last item of business that I have, which is to invite all of our speakers, dignitaries, Blaine Nichols, Cheryl and Rob McEwen, and our board chair to come up here to the front so that we can do a picture. Okay, so thank you, merci. Please stay and celebrate with us. And those of you who know that you're in this picture, please come forward.
Welcome to the McEwen School of Architecture. Feel free to explore and discover at your leisure.
All right, we're now going to go back in time just a little bit to a segment we filmed earlier this week, in case you're wondering where all the people went. So I'm now joined by the founding director of the McEwen School of Architecture, Terrence Galvin, who's gracefully agreed to give us a tour of his new facility. So thank you, Terrence.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Callum. So for me, the project started here in phase 1. So for 2013, we renovated the CP Telegraph building. It wasn't a heritage designation building, but it was an important building in the history of Sudbury. Mm-hmm. And we decided that we would try to keep the spirit of it. We definitely term with the architects adaptive reuse. So we made a couple of new moves. We cut the big window vertically as our entrance where the stair is, and that was the original oak stair. Okay. And then this door behind us, a lot of people have commented on that. That's the telecommunications agent, and that's the original CP door with the logo, and that was downstairs in the basement. So in a way, the adaptive reuse started with finding that door and thinking the old and the new. So right. We've mixed new Paralam beams, glulam beams, a new steel structure, but all the rhythm of the windows and the bays of the building and cleaning the outside, we've tried to restore it where we could and adapt it where we needed to. So as I say, the wood was the other theme. So this wooden conference table that we have here, that was one of the next things that we built to be able to showcase wood. So that's all wood off the shelf. And then that light above us here, this is a sculptor from Toronto who takes these old fluorescent tubes and rather than throw them in landfill, he does recycling and turns them into other lamps. And there's a whole set of kind of themes in the building that are about recycling, sustainability, reusing things, and rather than just throw them out, how to repurpose them.
Very cool.
And then this big steel beam we put in as a reference to the steel of the rails, right, and the trellises and all the constructions across the country. So let's go this way, if that's okay. So from the very beginning, we had a sketch of the idea that there would be this building, the shed as the former farmer's market, repurposed again and winterized. So we ran our first year of classes out of there. You said you were in there yourself at the end of the first year. And then in second year, rather than put more people in there, we kept half the space to be able to do design build. So we were building things in the school. Mm-hmm. And then the past 2 years, you'll see in the wood shop, we're doing warming huts, ice for skating on the path at Lake Ramsey. So we've partnered with the city, and that way we go through the same structure, and students get to build a full-size piece that gets put out on Lake Ramsey for the winter. So this is the bridge now, which is nice. So again, you'll notice it's ramped. We're not the same height as the old building. New construction is taller from floor to floor, but this works well. You get to see the street and people get to see you. And this pattern on the window, the fret pattern, is to screen you a bit so you don't feel like you're just being stared at in a goldfish bowl.
A little bit of privacy.
A bit of privacy. It screens it a bit, and it also cuts a little bit down on some of the solar glare. But this bridge was always planned, so if you were in a accessibility mode, you could get smoothly from building to building. We didn't have an elevator in that telegraph building, but we have a big elevator that then anyone can get in from Elm Street and access the full facility.
This becomes the access point.
That's right. And
So
you
we're now in the new part.
Now we're transitioning. So the bridge is over, from the telegraph building to here. We're in the new part. So the palette of materials, I think you asked about, concrete. It's an architecture school, so if you put, too fine a material or carpet in here, it wouldn't work, right? People spill materials. They spill water, they might spill paint when they're watercoloring. So it's meant to be fairly rough on purpose and polish the concrete. And then these are the offices. So we have some faculty offices in the old telegraph building, and the rest of the faculty offices to meet the full faculty number for the school when it's at its full-blown 400 students and up to 20 faculty. Those are the other offices here.
Right.
And then this faces the studio, so the big, almost like a creative factory in a positive sense, that we have fourth year. The senior class is all here with their desks, and you see all the things that they generate, sculptures and models and process models, and there's always a lot of stuff in an architecture school, but it's an orderly creative sense of stuff, because in most cases they are making models, and you don't just make one model of something, you make several, right, to figure it out. The student desks each have a desk and a locker, and they draw and they make models, and we try to emphasize multiple process models, so you're not just making one study of something. So you'll see some of this is actually for the Nuit Blanche for the opening. Some of it were digital lamps that they built for another course. So this is the big studio space. If we come through here.
Now this is a fairly big space here. How many students can you accommodate in this space?
Well, the whole class of over 50 fourth year students, and also first year. To that black screen, we have the first year class of 70 as well. So that's over 120 students in this part. Second year is in the big cantilever facing the track, and then we put the third year class downstairs. So we've got about 250 to 60 students in the building. And what we haven't occupied yet, the third level that you see here is a mezzanine, and that's for the graduate program of up to 120 students.
Right. So the overall capacity is ultimately a little over 300, close to 400?
It was designed for 400, so that was the idea originally. 70 times 4 for the undergraduate program, and then 120 for the graduate program. So that's 280 plus 120. So it's up to 400 students, and we'll be growing the program with the first year of the master's program next September. So that'll be year 5 and year 6, we'll sit up there. But one of the nice things is, rather than make an office building where they're all separate floors, from the graduate program you can see here, and from here, if you walk over, you can see down to the next level. And that was an important principle, that you could be visually connected. This is the third year class. It's worth a shot straight down there. But so that was the point, that they're visually, and then you see the people standing in the atrium over there, they're visually connected one to the other. So you never feel like you're on a floor separated from the action in the other years. And that's about osmosis. A lot of what you learn as a student in architecture school is looking and seeing the way, like first year, we put next to fourth year on purpose so they could watch the senior students.
Right. So everybody is observing everyone.
Everyone's being able to see, and therefore you learn by osmosis. So that's an important principle. I think that principle of how students learn from each other, and then that the building is also didactic, that it tells you, you can look at that steel column and we can teach how steel is connected to steel.
And so this is one of the first schools of architecture opened in Canada in quite some time.
The first new school. There have been like Ryerson converted several years ago, but Carleton was the last school that really started the building and the program from scratch in the early 70s. So that's exciting, that we were able to, sometimes you'll take a new program and fit it in an existing building, or sometimes you'll get a new building, like U of T is also building a new building now, but their curriculum is going to fit into that building. But in our case, we were starting the curriculum and the building together, and so as we developed the buildings and the spaces, we were also developing the sense of how our courses, like wood, once we were building the building out of wood and building that table out of wood, it ended up informing heavily how we thought of the structures courses, and wood being a theme that runs throughout the design build program. And there's many layers of that as example. This is nice because you see into the courtyard. So there's the old shed. We reclad that in cedar and insulated it. And then you see another bridge on the ground floor which ties into the CLT wing. That's the other wing. So this structure here, as you see, is all steel joists, black steel with a glass curtain wall. And on the CLT wing, you'll see it's really the wood itself from the atrium over. You'll see that. And that's structural wood. So big wood that allows you to prevent fire. And it's its own structure. So we have 4 different conditions. If you look at the shed and the telegraph building and this one and the wood building, that's the other thing. It's quite rich. We're in 4 different buildings, but 4 different construction methods, 4 different eras. So we can say here's how a 19th century attitude, you know, early 1900s gets developed, and now 100 years later, we're returning to wood with cross-laminated timber. So let's go here.
So you can see a bit of a historical progression, I guess, in the way buildings are constructed.
Very much, yeah. I think people have been appreciating a new wood building versus the old shed building, which has a beautiful patina and age about it. So if you look down into here, the next space that's actually quite wonderful. So now we leave the steel building and we're on a bridge again, like we were over there. And this bridge, you'll see, looks into the atrium space. So this will be a hub of activity for the grand opening in the next 2 days. So we have a wood fire.
I think that's where I would spend all of my time, right by that fire.
I think you're right. Places like Massey College, great building by Ron Thom, the now deceased fantastic Canadian architect. Massey College and its fireplace was one of our images that we kept talking about in terms of, that's a real wood fire, so you can feel the warmth and the heat of the real wood. It's different than a gas fireplace in terms of its real phenomenology. And then the atrium space, again, big, almost 40 feet tall. You see the wood panels there?
Yeah.
And these wood panels are the cross-laminated timber. They're made as one solid panel piece with different pieces of wood, like a giant plywood. And then you see, even on a gray day like today, we get good light in here, and then that looks down into this sunken room that we have for student work and exhibitions.
So these materials that you're using, you know, the wood and the concrete and even the glass elements and the steel, what do those materials do for the building in terms of efficiency, in terms of sustainability?
Each of the 4 buildings was a kind of story. So as I say, adaptive reuse and preserving the CP was its main theme. In the steel building, where we put the energy of the design and some of the systems is to get a very important curtain wall. So that glass is 3 panes thick and it's super efficient. So again, for a northern climate like ours, and so with that very efficient curtain wall, then for instance our mechanical systems can be simpler because of that, so you save money on the mechanical, and that was the logic. In this building with the wood, it's actually quite good, we say, for structure and fire resistance. It needed some extra insulation for our, you know, plus 30 to minus 35 seasonal shifts. And then the wood burning fireplace, again, let's say there was a power outage and it was minus 30, we have enough generated heat from that to be in your coat, but it would create an ambient comfort, and that's a sustainable principle as well. I think you know yourself, we're returning these days to seeing one system of any kind. If you're only dependent on hydro and it cuts out, you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I lived in Montreal, and from the ice storm there I learned you need a generator, you need a wood burning stove in addition. Redundancy is the key word. So just like sustainability, we've tried to treat the building like that, where their systems are intentionally redundant so that you get backups and you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So that's a principle.
Now this is one of the biggest developments that we've seen in the downtown core in quite some time. What does it mean to have this new School of Architecture based in downtown Sudbury?
What's great is that these spaces are for the community events as well. And as the students are here, even now, they work in different sculptures. They take part in things like Upfest, you know, they've had installations at the Grand. So some of it's measurable, but another big part of it is less measurable, but equally important in terms of revitalization and community engagement. So the fact that our students go and hang out in several of the downtown businesses and they start conversations with the owners, you know, all of that. There's a complex story about how this piece, for instance, we had our public town hall meeting last week with the third-year design studio in there. And it's a chance for many people in the community to come into this space. So it's just the beginning of that, but I really look forward to the community using the building as well as the architecture students and the synergy that creates. because that's our other mandate. You know, the academic program for training an architect is one thing, but equally important is the community engagement. So the partnerships we have, we've been working with people in Powassan, working with people in Sault Ste. Marie, working with people in Chapleau, working with Science North and Rotary Park and Kiwi Park in Sudbury. So all of those partnerships are a metaphor in a way for this, the school and the community, really not just knowing about each other separately, but collaborating on thinking about design issues for the North.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the library, which is one of the great spaces. So this room, this is now fully in the CLT wing. So when we have this, you see the structure of the wood, you see the lights, we have the carpet. So this room now changes to being carpeted.
The carpet was the first thing I noticed,
Yes.
actually. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Dorothy has been kind enough to post this picture. So this is the map. You were asking about the model in the conference room. Everyone knows this map of Sudbury Basin locally. And so upstairs you saw it was in shades of pink and green. This is this map, pixelated. And Interface Carpet did this, so you're standing now in the rim of Sudbury Basin. And because it's a bit more abstracted, because you're so close to it, if you were up in the air, you'd see it like the model, but because you're in it, we've actually printed this to be able to say, you know, you are here, standing in here. But that was intentional, to be able to say geologically and the origin of the shield and why we're here in Sudbury, all of us. We wanted to do something that was symbolic and not just put a, you know, gray carpet in the room.
I noticed that seems to be another theme recurring throughout the building is a kind of a nod to Sudbury geologically, kind of culturally.
Absolutely. Yeah, our theme for the whole first year again in the curriculum is place. And you know, it's about why are we here in Sudbury, and we're here because of that geological imprint, right? And the deposits and so on. So it starts from there. Innovative wise, we've actually put, this is a raised floor. So if you look up, you'll notice very different than the steel building. You don't see mechanical ducts. You don't see fire sprinklers, right? All of that normally would be up high, except for the few lights, they're in this floor. So this is a 2.5 foot raised floor, and it's very innovative. It's a plug-and-play system. So these black discs are for electrical outlets and plugs, and the gray discs are the ventilation for the heating and cooling return.
Right.
But you can actually add to this system because you can lift the carpet tile and lift the tiles, and you can move it around. Not every day, but if there's a new addition to the system, again, it's that redundancy idea we were talking about. If there's a new innovative piece of the way to do piping for heating, we can modify this system. And you can't do that if you've just got a fixed pipe system, or if you've put the pipes in a concrete slab.
So is that kind of a trend in modern architecture, the kind of idea of constructing a building that can grow, that can change
Absolutely,
over time?
absolutely. So things like the Living Building Challenge now, right, calling it that, living building. I think in the 60s and 70s we thought more in general, as you know, that, you know, buildings were inert, systems were static, right? We made everything in concrete and heavy, and we put parking lots in asphalt, and then we turn around 30 years later and say, too much heat gain, right? We're wasting resources in every field. And so this attitude now for this generation is really the flip side of that. It's that redundancy, easy systems like wood for renewal, right? Returning, I think, as you know, a lot of the new age thinking is returning to old principles, and a lot of those sustainability principles are trying to go back to the fact that systems are dynamic. Systems thinking and all the kind of cybernetics from the 60s thought that way. We're returning to that from ecology to water management and architecture, certainly in that discussion about materials and, you know, do things off gas? Are they consumptive? So we're trying to do zero net buildings now in architecture, and even further, buildings that produce energy, right? So they're not absorbing, not taking anything, they're trying to give back. So green roof, there's a green roof on this building, like at Living with Lakes. It's planted, it'll start blooming in the spring. We're gonna have berries up there, and we're gonna start food production with local food places, we hope. And so we may build a greenhouse, we wanna raise bees. There's a whole set of things that one might say, that's not about architecture, but they asked us why we were building canoes 2 years ago. The relationship between the canoe and this wood building and buildings of the future is there. We just have to be clear about it, and we have to discover it together with the new generation. So this is a beautiful view. I'll just show you this since you're here. It's one of the nice areas to understand the whole building, because the landscape, as you were asking, Callum, the landscape is equally important to the building. And so these blinds, if you look south, right, we have the west track. We're 15 meters, 50 feet back where you see the light poles, and that whole 50 feet is a bioswale, so we store water in there. And we're going to have benches where people can have lunch and things, so we've given a park back to the city, so that's one of the civic gestures in terms of revitalization. And then people are now walking, even in the winter, they're walking this path, and when the Elgin Greenway is finally completed, our site ends at Larch Street, and the Elgin Greenway plugs into there, so we'll meet, and that'll be a continuous green path. So we've given back. As you know, there's not a lot of green space in the city. From Memorial Park to here, there are patches. So this is a fairly continuous green space that our students will use, but also everybody in the city. I know that'll be successful as a landscaping piece. So the land, the green roof, it really is much more integrated than just a building on a site.
Very good. All right. Well, Terrence, thank you so much for showing us around your new building.
You're welcome.
It's beautiful, and we look forward to seeing it develop. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.